How about you guys both put your headphones and I'll clap very loudly? That wouldn't
Perfect.
work. I'm on. It's
No, that will work because it'll be on all three of our
okay. I'll
tracks.
do
Okay,
it.
here we go.
Wait, what am I doing?
What? You do
Yeah,
it too.
okay.
We all do it. Okay.
All right.
I don't know
Okay,
if that
now I'm
worked.
just
I hope it
looking
did.
at my
It made a very loud
waveform.
noise.
I
here.
turned my volume way up, so if it doesn't show up on the track, I will be surprised.
I
And
think I can see it on
I
mine.
mean, maybe it will have unlocked. Look, you know what? You're popping and locking.
Mhm.
The success of this was so
Send her
great.
to the
Popped and
fucking
unlocked. Let me
Olympics.
tell you.
Ooh, I'm so excited. This is going to be such a good episode. Chelsea is on fire already. We're popping, we're locking, we're
A
unlocking.
girl loves a labor union.
It's true.
It's true.
Oh,
I went to the Native American Museum.
hey.
Ooh.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. I did not think it was
Oh.
going to be good. I thought it was just going to be arrowheads, but man,
Mhm.
it delivered.
I want to know more.
Yeah, it's in Bentonville. It's been there for like ever.
Oh.
That's super
It was
cool.
just like one guy's arrowhead collection, and then he was like, I'm gonna put it somewhere. And then he ended up getting like a really extensive collection. And the coolest thing is winter counts. Do you know what winter counts are?
No.
So winter
Uh-uh.
counts are how different tribes kept basically like the history. So they would have each year, they would draw a tiny drawing of a big event that happened that year. And that's how they would keep every winter, they would put whatever the big thing was that year. So they
Aw.
had a winter count that was on a hide from the Lakota tribe or like a section of the Lakota tribe. I'm not really sure. They did not do a good job of getting really in depth in the descriptions of it. So I'm going to do more research later. And then they had another winter count from a neighboring tribe, I think. And it was because they had like, you could line up their winters because like they both had the same tribal leader that was killed on both of them. So like
Oh.
Big Crow was a tribal leader in one of them. And so that was in one of them, or that was one point in both of them, but then they had different ones coming out.
Whoa.
But they had like a meteor shower, they had an eclipse, and so like everything, they had like meeting with the white man, stuff like that.
Ugh.
That was in it. Yeah. Getting smallpox,
Ugh.
it would go through different cycles of that. It is so cool. So
That's
wow.
sorry,
fascinating.
that was
Yeah.
my cool thing that I did recently.
The Native American Museum in DC, the Smithsonian one, is
Oh, I'm sure that's
spectacular too.
Yeah.
I went a couple months ago when my buddy was visiting because he had a conference, and I think I maybe went one time 10 years ago or something when it opened. It's relatively recent. I can't remember. It was sometime that I did check it out, but like we went through it very deeply, and it was amazing. It was amazing what it does for the story, because it really talks about the like toxic evil of bureaucratic government and all these things. There's like a Trail of Tears exhibit, and it covers not just the thing that we all kind of know about, the idea that people were forcibly marched from the South into Oklahoma and many of them died on the way, but the way that it was like, hey, so here's what we're doing. We're going to take all this fertile land in the South away from people who are making money with it, because it turns out many of these families and tribes already were like running business operations. It wasn't, it just, the context is very different from what you would think of with the sort of vacuum of American history class, where you're like, oh, people who were in teepees had to be walked somewhere. It's like, no, people with full-on plantations were required to sell their shit, or it was taken from them and they were forced to leave, which is, I mean, it's got the levels of economic power and the influence and force that gets put behind certain groups of people to avoid other groups from having economic power.
Right, yeah.
Which also turns out to be a really great segue into the opening of the podcast. Ahoy, listeners! This is Debut Buddies. It's a fortnightly podcast about firsts. My name is Nate. I am but one of the buddies.
My name's Kelly. I'm an additional buddy.
I'm Chelsea. I'm the other buddy.
Yay!
And we buddies are together because we know strength comes in numbers.
Yes.
It's not as if
handshakes.
all three of us are individual buddies trying to compete with each other. That would be silly, because our real competition is not for each other's attention, but is in fact to fight the big podcasts out there and the companies that actually know we would love for you to take us on. So never mind.
Yeah.
But the point of the episode is check out this guy's t-shirt at the DNC. Trump is a scab. We're talking about the first labor union. Did you guys see that? Did you see that thing?
Somebody's
the UAW leader, United Auto Workers guy, like came out on stage at the DNC, I think the first night, and wearing a Trump is a scab t-shirt. And I was like, I just wish it was cooler looking. I think that was my only problem.
No.
It's like got a little bit too much of a like corporate retreat graphic design vibe when it kind of just needs to be in like varsity block letters, and then I'd wear that shit every other day.
I'm gonna have to go Google it now.
Well, did you see
his speech?
Oh, the UAW?
Yeah.
Was it good?
When they came out and endorsed Kamala, I think that was when he said it, when he was like, Trump is a scab. And I was like,
yeah. It's like that's the thing they're going with, which is great.
Oh yeah, it looks
because
very...
I think he premiered that, and then he came out wearing the shirt, and the shirt it's fine, but it's also like this could be a universally adopted brand for people who care about workers' rights and who also care about not like fully devolving the country into a...
It looks like a campaign bumper sticker.
Yes, that's my problem with it. It's a little bit too like moving forward and whatever. Like, no, make it like, let's make this timeless. Yeah,
exactly. This even 20 years ago, we should be wearing that shirt. We should have been wearing that shirt.
Well, she's getting heated. She's slamming her fists on the desk.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Harris's merch? That is cool and aesthetic. It's like genuinely a good t-shirt. It's like it's approaching like the old school Ringer style. It's very retro, and it doesn't say Harris or anything. It just says America is an idea, and it's really good. I think that is timeless. That's like, I don't know who designed that, but I commend them.
Yeah, it's like they saw Thor Ragnarok, where at the end we find out that Asgard isn't a place; it's a people.
Oh,
right. It's an idea.
Like, that's what you're supposed to take from the movie. Yeah.
Watch the movie. Honestly, if you had asked me what Asgard was, I would have said a king.
Sure, it sounds very kingy,
true.
right? That invokes a white beard and
does it just remind me of Aslan?
Yes, it sure does. Lion Jesus.
Yeah. Got to the bottom of that one.
We have
it's
another...
a people, you say?
It is a people. Asgard is people, not a place. It's what Odin tells Thor and Loki right before he bites the big one. And it is something that they realize throughout the film. And then the mid-credits sequence completely invalidates that as being a thing that we're supposed to care about anymore. because then Thanos shows up. The spoilers for movies that are at least 10 years old, so I can say all this. Like, I don't think anybody here is going
years
to...
old? This isn't...
It's pretty old.
It's getting there, right?
It's been some time.
Yeah.
When did Endgame come out? Endgame came out...
Like 2015 or 16?
What?
So many years ago.
Yeah.
Kelly, you're like, I was gonna. But
no, I never was going to. I just am like, I could have sworn 2 years ago. But that's the thing with speaking of things that are just ideas, these movies, they're just concepts to me.
And they're just and they're constantly coming. So it's as if there's just a flow of ideas. And you're like, sure. Lots of people are saying things all the time. Why should I listen to this particular conversation? Another important thing that we need to celebrate together real quick. And listeners, feel free to celebrate. Open your favorite bottle of champagne or perhaps a beer or maybe just a sparkling water. This is the 2-year anniversary episode of Debut Buddies.
Aww,
we've been going at this for 2 Septembers plus. It's amazing.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, can you believe it? We're doing it. We're doing it still.
I looked up what the traditional second anniversary gift is.
Is it wood?
It's cotton.
Oh, it's cotton.
Oh.
The touch, the feel.
The touch, the feel.
Recover our lives.
That's right, cotton.
So-
if you're listening, sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, just cotton. The Cotton Council. Anyway, I forgot to get you guys anything. So.
That's okay. To commemorate, we are all wearing clothing, which may or may not contain cotton.
Oh, I think this is a blend.
Mine's rayon. I know because I made it, so I purchased the fabric.
It's good to
Sorry,
know.
not cotton.
Yeah, and rayon's technically a 6.5-year anniversary gift. So
Yeah, so
She's looking to the future.
it's true.
that's right. I believe in us. I believe
Bold
that we'll
predictions.
still be together.
We'll make it at least 6.5 years.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about labor unions, the first labor unions, perhaps. And I have some notes covering both the United Kingdom, where perhaps the first one ever emerged, and here in ye old United States. So we can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But let's talk briefly about what labor unions are to us, and maybe when we sort of feel like we each became cognizant of their existence, because I think there's something meaningful there to all of our sort of individual histories and kind of the history of the place we live.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I can go. I don't feel like I knew much about labor unions at all, save for popular culture context things. Like there's several episodes of The Simpsons where they reference labor unions. Specifically, there's an episode where Homer's union goes on strike because Mr. Burns takes the dental plan away, and Lisa needs braces. Dental plan.
Plus, Homer's always eating those
braces.
Donuts.
He is.
That's
yes.
so much sugar.
I mean, he's really not too concerned about his own health, but these benefits, right? Their union votes to get rid of the dental plan for a keg of beer at every meeting and like a small cost of living raise or whatever. And so Homer demands they go on strike. And so I remember that. I also remember that several sort of shows around that era would reference labor unions, but it was usually always associated with crookedness, right? Like I feel like my childhood, which was 80s and 90s, was still in this conservative period where the presumption was, oh, the mob is in all the unions and nobody there is actually doing good things. They're all just taking people's money, and it's gross because a bunch of like right to work laws were passed when I was young, which effectively negate unions functioning by making it so, oh, well, you're a person and you should just be allowed to work without joining a union. Doesn't that sound great? And the person goes, yes, it does sound great because I don't want to pay union dues. But then the employer person is like, excellent. Here is $2 for what would have cost me $8 if you had joined a union. But you can quit whenever you want,
Yeah, I don't know that I had ever heard about the mob being involved in unions, but actually, before I answer the question, I had an idea for a new segment just now while you were talking, which is, it's essentially 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I just want you to get to The Simpsons for every subject.
That's really not going to be very hard. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I know.
You just have to
like
name the exact
it.
episode that covers it. Is that
true? Yeah. That can be the challenges I have to try to get into my mind palace for actual episode names.
Yeah, I mean, I remember learning about them in history class, and I remember, I wouldn't say getting in a fight or an argument with the teacher, but I remember unions being presented as bad, like bad for capitalism, bad for the economy. And I remember when we were going over the like talking points of unions, this is probably 8th grade, being like, everything you're saying sounds good. All of that is good. Can you explain to me why it's bad? And my history teacher was like, you lose money. And I was like, no, I do not.
Yeah.
So
Who is you?
You lose money. So I But coming out of that, I was like, history is just not my subject. I guess I just don't understand.
Well, and the thing
No.
is like
Sounds like it
That guy
is.
sucked.
history didn't cover things like it took me until I don't know, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago to learn about like the Colorado miners strike that happened
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
1830s or 40s or whatever, where John Rockefeller, who owned the mines, sent the
Mm-hmm.
National Guard in to stop the miners from striking, and
Yeah.
a bunch of them got killed. Because of course you send the military in to stop people from being like, we're not going to work for nothing. Or more specifically, because part of the history that we don't think about a lot is that we have recency bias on how
Mm.
capitalism
Oh,
functions,
yeah.
and that recency bias is held with our parents' generation, right? Uh, a generation of people who came out of the most restricted version of capitalism available because they're immediately post New Deal, and they're
Mhm.
also benefiting from, hey, look, everybody deserves some stuff. And so they've
Mm.
always known it that way. And as the deserving of stuff was going to go to other generations, they were like, no, we should keep holding that stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so they've
Mhm.
now leached it back to become robber baron level stuff from the 1800s and early 1900s, where yeah, like workers were murdered by the National Guard. You had situations where like company towns were created and company currency was created. That was a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
miners' strike
Mm-hmm.
problem, was they were like, hey, if you want to be a miner for this company, you have to live in this shack we provide to you, and we're not paying you in American dollars. We're going to pay you in mining company money. So
Monopoly money.
you can go to the company store and you can buy rice and things, but everything's a little marked up, and you don't have like you ultimately don't have actual direct freedom to participate in commerce because they're not paying you, they're just giving you vouchers for stuff they want to give you.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
a
shit was becoming regular practice, and then we had a bunch of shit come up, you know and much of this actually even precedes that, as we'll start going into the history. But let's go to Chelsea about your personal history with labor union
Mm.
knowledge.
Not a ton. I was trying to think of when, I mean, I had, because I was trying to think of where in my professional life I'd ran into it earlier on. Because there's no way I didn't see anti-labor union propaganda
yeah.
starting jobs. And I can't remember. And I'm sure when I worked at the sheriff, no, they're pro-union, but their union is a different union. um, but I'm sure that I had to have, like, there's got to be the posters in the back being like, if somebody talks to you about a union, make sure you go tell everybody.
Oh my God. You have
Yeah.
just shaken loose a memory.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember having that propaganda in a
Yeah.
corporate workplace,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is unexpected. Nobody talks about unions for software developers. But I remember that it looked very like Russian propaganda. Like it was
Oh,
Yeah.
very
yeah.
Yeah, I
like
mean
they
that's the
weren't
style,
hiding
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was strange. It was odd.
Yeah. I feel like that's where I saw it. And once again, I just saw it in media. But having like, because I'm trying to think of when like a strike impacted me. Like I have an uncle who was in a union and he was very happy being in a union and it helped him a lot. So that was my context when I was not, I don't want to say younger, but like that's the only thing I really knew about a union is that he enjoyed it. And I was like, but I don't know much about it. And everything else I see is pretty negative.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a long time, I thought a union was bad. And
Yeah,
I'm not going to
same.
lie. I was like, this is a bad thing. And if
Yeah.
people want you to join it, they're wanting you to join like an evil club. And that's how
Yeah.
I understand it. And it's an evil club.
It's like Satanists and Unionists.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, but
I know.
have we been converted?
It's a whole thing with like the presentation was it's coercive. Somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to
Mhm.
tell you that the only way you're allowed to do your job is if you pay them to let you do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing, right? And
They tell
if
you,
that's the
yeah.
way, yeah, if that's the way something is presented to you, you're like, well, fuck no. I want to be a house painter without having to pay anybody to be a house painter. This is
Right.
America. And then it turns out like, oh no, but you can be more easily exploited because there's a bunch of house painters. And the moment that people see, this is the thing with like software developers, right? Because I think they
Mm.
are trying to unionize in some circumstances now.
It's a thing that gets talked about But I haven't seen any conversations where that has been discussed seriously. I did try to float it at my last job because it was fucking miserable. And I believe that software developers should unionize because it's constantly like inappropriate deadlines and the expectation that you'll just work until it's done. And so part of why I quit my job was because I was working like 70, 80-hour weeks, never getting up from the desk, still not meeting deadlines. And I just couldn't live like that. So I floated it with my teammates in a Slack thread, and I ended up having to mute the Slack thread because they were like, bro, I don't believe in unions. I don't think that we should be discussing that. Why would you suggest that? And I was like, oh,
yeah.
I forgot you lived in Texas.
Well, and the problem is, and this is all the more reason why software developers should unionize sooner than later, is like the job is still extremely valuable.
Yeah.
It's a highly paid role. But the moment that it can be not a highly paid role, it will become a well underpaid role unless you have some clout to be like, nope, we're not doing this. We're not competing against each other for your work. You're going to compete with us because we have value.
So something that's weird, not weird, something I'm going to say. I did take a survey
I want that preface before everything we all say from now on. Something
I thought
that's
about
weird.
it and I was like, that's not weird. I'm going to remove that. But I was doing a survey on an app that I get on sometimes about my job. And it asked about unions. And then it says, do you feel like AI is a reason to move towards unionizing? And I was like, ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
but,
sure. Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
100%. That's
But
like,
you're
look at
talking
what
about software
Hollywood's been
developers
doing.
yeah, I was like, oh God, yeah. So, and that's my other part is like, I was like, when did unions impact me personally in my life? And there have been, I mean, the writer's strike. I was
Right.
obsessed with TV and movies. So like that impacted me, not the most recent one, but the one farther back.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember. That's the one that I
When
was
we
like,
were
oh my
in
God.
high school?
Yeah,
Early
and
college, maybe?
something like that. And I remember being like, oh, and then they were like, yeah, people aren't paid anything. I was like, oh, people deserve to be
Yeah.
paid stuff.
Yeah, season 3 of Battlestar Galactica did impact me.
Yeah. Season 3 of Lost also? Was that the strike
Oh,
season? With
I didn't watch
not Rodrigo
Lost.
and Gabriella, but whichever one had the two people in it that everybody hates notoriously
I don't
from Lost.
remember.
That's what the strike seasons were.
Yeah, it
the
was
ones
the
that we
bad
all
ones.
hated.
Quantum of Solace, the sequel to Casino Royale, the James Bond movie.
James
Oh, this is
Bond?
Bond.
Yeah,
Which
that
was
one
the
bad?
James Bond movie that Daniel Craig and the director wrote themselves on the fly
Oh.
because nobody
Oh,
was allowed to
no.
be a writer, but they had
Huh.
a
Yeah.
budget and a deadline to do it. So they're like, well, let's make a movie improv style.
Okay. Okay.
And those strikes are interesting because like part of it is you're not allowed to write stuff down. So like you can't even have cue cards of the dialogue that like you discussed
So you
before.
just have to.
You have to
Oh,
do the
wow.
dialogue and then go like, let's take a shot at. Well, we
Yeah.
just have to get it on
Jeez.
film,
Oh.
and then it isn't written, but it counts. But the current situation, or at least current as of recording, but who knows? Probably it'll still be going in a few weeks. In Hollywood, they're doing the strike over AI use of people's voices for video games and things like that too. Because I mean, you get to a point where any actor could be captured and then reproduced in a video game forever. Like, can you imagine if Command and Conquer like 90 has like a good old damn it. Why can't I remember his name right now? I need
You
his
can
name
pick
right
any
now.
name. I have
Yeah,
no
we
idea
would
what you're
not.
talking
No,
about.
it's
just
someone
pick
that you
one.
love. It's Dr.
Patrick
Frankenfurter.
Stewart.
What's the guy's name? Tim Curry.
Oh, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Tim Curry is famously in one of the early Command and Conquer
Remembering-
games. But
Remembering
if
Frankenfurter.
if
Tim Curry.
no, if
I
Tim
couldn't
Curry,
remember. Oh no, it's happening again. Samuel Clemens. I could.
Mark Twain.
Mark
Mark Twain.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember Mark Twain the other day or right now, but I could
Great.
remember Samuel Clemens.
I love it. But yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of really compelling reasons from AI to unionize almost anybody who does anything that's vaguely creative and non-mechanical, because it sure doesn't seem like they're making any effort to make AI like operate robot arms that will do labor. But they are sure going to use it to take people out of every other thing that they could pay them for.
Yeah. Although it's not, it doesn't function well at the moment. Though at my last job, the leadership was very gung-ho about incorporating it in, like, we were already seeing it specifically for like data analysis stuff. Like, that's a career.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be training, like, we shouldn't be relying on AI for that. Whatever. We don't have to talk about software specifically, but they need to unionize.
Sure. Yeah.
Software developers too, when you were talking about the competition there and how it's it could become so easy to replace us. That's already true for gaming developers and has been for years. Like, everybody wants to be a game developer because that's the like sexy option. And what that means is they get worse pay and worse hours and worse treatment broadly because there's another one. Yeah.
Well, and as far as I understand, and I could be wrong on this, but as far as I understand, because of the number of like overlapping assets and engines that exist in most games now too, you don't even have like a direct agency. It's just sort of like it is turning more and more into, well, yeah, you're a game developer, but use these character files we've got and make them do stuff and make them do it perfectly. And your job will be to ensure the perfection, which is the most tedious and shitty part. And also to do it constantly until we tell you no, and then we'll release the game, and then it will be terrible because we have cracked the whip on you all this time, and then you will spend the next 6 months fixing everything that wasn't fixed about the game in the first place.
And then everyone will forget about the game.
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk will never play, apparently.
Which did turn out, it ended up turning out.
Yeah, you said it was good, and I keep wanting to play it because you said it was. And because it left such a bad taste in my mouth initially because of everyone being like, it's so buggy. And I was like, when you get something, when somebody puts something out there because of a deadline, this has happened multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
There's a truck on the road sometimes that is a bad truck. There is a plane in the air that is a bad plane. You know what I'm saying?
Cyber truck?
Yeah.
Could you?
Some sort of plane that might go boing when the door pops off?
Just if you make people do stuff under harsh conditions on unreasonable deadlines and skirt safety. This is why the more unions, the cleaner the shit is.
Yeah.
The cleaner and the better the shit is.
Unions have an opportunity to do quality control for us, but it also is like all of these things have to be in conversation effectively for it to work, right? Like consumers, as consumers, we have a multitude of choice, but very little power, right? Because ultimately the system has been running in such a way for our lifetimes that we're going to buy the best, cheapest version of the thing we can get, and they're going to make more of those than they are going to make the quality version at a higher price point. So it's almost harder to find the thing that's good anyway. And then they also go like, well, fuck it. Buy 17 pairs of sunglasses over the course of 3 years because we don't really care. Like, which is...
Shout out to Ray-Ban. I bought one pair of sunglasses 12 years ago, and I drop them all the time. They are going strong.
Yeah, they do good work. That's Italy for you. That's Italian sunglass making.
Oh, are they Italian?
Yeah.
Are there a lot of unions over there?
Chef's kiss. Yeah, same question.
I figure most of Europe has more unions, even though Italy does have kind of a harder right-leaning government now. Okay. They are still like far more left-leaning than we are, even with like somebody harsh.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's jump in. Let's start with some history. I will run through the UK thing first. Does that sound good?
I only looked at America.
Egypt?
Oh, shit. Like, you mean like Moses as the first union leader? Let my people go?
I watched a video and it was like, this happened in Egypt. And then it said, I'm going to be honest with you. If a video says a lot of names and a lot of places, my brain shuts off. And then I can't. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then it talked about the Freemasons, which is that going to be part of what we talk about? No. Yep. No.
We may well speak to some Freemasons at one point or another. But yeah, the Freemasons are famously like a union that evolved into a mythological, maybe proto-demonic organization of power brokering,
Didn't we
depending
just
on who
say
you talk
Satanism
to.
and unions? Is that like how we
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we put
Well,
them together. I mean, I think it's your classic rhetorical argument is anytime people start organizing in a way that runs counter to the most conservative way of organizing people, which is usually going to church. It is declared satanic or otherwise dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Women going into the woods to party when all the men are asleep,
Witch.
witches.
Burner.
Anybody gathering at this point to protest anything at all, it's some
Antifa?
sort of it's some sort of evil left-wing conspiracy funded by globalists, etc. Right? Like, no, this whole argument that I think is going on about these kids are getting radicalized by TikTok and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, no, isn't it possible that like a younger generation just has ideas that run counter to the ideas that you feel are either correct or prudent? Because I think that that's where we're caught with a lot of things these days in the last
Yeah.
10, 15 years is this thing of like, man, it might be wrong, but it's really economically beneficial for us to not worry about that. And that's where we sit, right? That's what unions disrupt. Unions go, hey, this is bad for people. We should change it. And they go, well, but it's more economically prudent not to change it. So no. And then we
For
go,
whom?
we're going to unionize your face with our guillotines and whatnot. And then they go, no, don't do that. I like my face. And then they let you eat cake. So it all works out.
That would be the opposite of a union, though, right? If we're talking guillotines, that's a confederacy of your face.
Union strong. You got a guillotine coming at it.
No, I just mean the actual separation is the opposite of unionizing something.
Oh, sure.
We're not making two things one. We're making one thing two.
Yeah. We're definitely, it's the, what is it? Dyslexics of the world untie. That t-shirt. Have you seen that?
Oh.
It's like a classic pun t-shirt where it's like,
yeah, it sounds like a poster in an elementary school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's most of what I sound like is elementary school posters and Simpsons episodes.
Teeth.
And teeth. I watched a movie the other night. It's got some teeth in it. We're going to talk about that later with Garf.
Okay.
We'll get there. So
spoiler.
The first labor union in the United Kingdom. The labor movement there begins concurrent to the Industrial Revolution, so it's in the window of 1760 to 1830. I was not able to find this is exactly when that started.
That's fair.
But labor movement is emerging in the 18th century, early 19th century. England has a guild system that ends up taking over regulation of wages by Parliament in the 16th century, so this would be the 1500s. There was an apprentice law in the Elizabethan era, and then a statute of artificers in 1562 that basically said, hey, local officials in every parish regulate how wages are earned. So it would be like, hey, the mayor comes into office and says, everybody who does this makes this much money now. I'm the mayor. That's the new rule. There had been petitions by English weavers in the 1550s, and they were like, hey, the owners are paying us a lot less than they paid us to weave clothes a few years ago, and this is fucked. And so they're petitioning this. People are, we're seeing early, very all of this, and I don't know what the actual circumstances was, but everything I read made it sound very proper and very hey, we're going to go through the correct channels. We just want to report that we're not being paid as much as we were being paid before, and we don't like that. So, hey, Parliament, help us out. Around the year 1700, wage regulation starts declining because I think what we're going to discover in talking about this is that these things are cyclical, right? People feel like the problem is fixed, and they're like, okay, cool. So now that everybody's getting paid enough, I can take a little bit for me off the top. And then everybody skims, and then suddenly nobody's getting paid again, and we have to fucking go to blows, right? That's
Classic.
just what it is, because no one has any foresight. They only have self-involvement.
Well, and it's also, it's not even necessarily that they don't have foresight, it's that they don't give a shit.
Well,
Right?
sure.
Like,
Yeah,
this serves me.
Yeah, it is. It is that the foresight is. It might. They have like immediate foresight. Like, here's what needs to happen in the next 10 years of my life so that this business continues to run and I survive. But they don't have like 80 years from now. Are the kids who work for the guys that work for me now going to be able to survive, or am I dooming a generation of people by being a greedy shit? And yeah, wouldn't it be nice if that was if morality and ethics were obligatory?
Yeah.
Or innate.
How do we teach that? We taught me and Chelsea that unions are bad. Why can't we teach jerks that morals and ethics are good?
Our best text is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, right? And the Muppet version and everything else. But that's the only thing that is like, hey, don't be a greedy asshole, pay people.
Yeah. And you know what? People don't read that because they're like, the language is hard.
Right.
Grow
or they
up.
think they think that it's like, well, this is about a specific guy that's a miser.
Yeah,
and he learns a lesson because he's gonna die unless he becomes nice. And it's like, no, that's the super text. You read the subtext, god damn it.
Yeah, come on.
Get in there. Get your fingers in the subtext.
Read between the lines.
Yeah.
Loser.
It's really cozy in there.
Does bullying work? Has bullying been shown to
this is Debut Buddies, your fortnightly
closely?
bullying podcast where we're just going to yell.
Debut Bullies.
Can we find first bullies? That would be interesting.
Oh.
This is a new mission. We'll work on this.
Write it down.
So around 1700, the wage regulation thing starts to decline. So parish leaders aren't being able to hold it back. Parliament's kind of like, shrug. So in 1757, Parliament officially rescinds the Weavers' Act. And they're like, hey, we're not going to, we know you're not getting paid as much, but there's somebody came and told me that you would weave more if you weren't getting paid. So we're just going to do a thing, right? So all of the wage regulation stuff goes away and they give in to laissez-faire economics, which is laissez-faire in French means leave it to do. Like, just leave me be. Let me do the thing I want to do, which is great if you are the holder of capital and the owner of the means of production. But other people have to do the doing that you are being left to do. A bunch of strikes happen all across England. There's riots. Laborers throughout the 18th century are going nuts. And unionizing is still always met with opposition because guess what? We're always afraid to take this step, and there's always somebody ready to whisper like, hey, working with them didn't work out for you. Why would working with these people work out for you?
Yeah.
And we're also internally and inherently skeptical because we know what horrors lurk inside each of us that we couldn't possibly combine forces to do a good thing. Well, it turns out you can.
Well, and it's also that's hard. It's hard to take the risk. To take the risk of your livelihood in order to try to make change, right? Like, I'm already not making enough money, but if I anger my employer, I could then be making zero money.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I have
absolutely.
a family at home. So, like, how do I, it is already, you have to be in a place of privilege to even approach unionizing. So it's sort of it's systemic.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
should we have a buzzword drinking game for this episode?
Oh, yeah.
We opened the champagne for the 2-year anniversary. So
that's right. The cork is out of the bag. So all these English people are striking all through the 18th century. And then the French Revolution happens. Vive la France. Yeah. So French Revolution happens. Then Thomas Paine writes The Rights of Man in 1791. You also have a little thing called the American Revolution. Pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
What?
There was a bunch of guys. They found some tea and they were like, spill it, sister. And then they did. And a government was born.
Work.
So people who have observed this and read Thomas Paine's Rights of Man are going into founding something called the London Corresponding Society in 1792, which is like a core of working class radicalism. It's spreading all across Britain so quickly that a bunch of people in England who are fearful of basically like workers subverting the monarchy and every aspect of the society, they come through with some widespread political repression of all union activities under Prime Minister Pitt the Younger. Pitt the Younger.
Oh.
Uh-huh. There were two Pitts, Pitt the Elder and Pitt the Younger.
I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, it's
Good
great.
for them.
That's back in the old days when you could just be one name and then adjective.
Reuse it.
Yeah. So during this time, Pitt the Younger suspends free speech and large public gatherings. And Thomas Paine has to flee. He comes to America. He comes to the newly born American colonies that are trying to sew their shit together. Little Betsy Ross. So no more free speech.
Speaking of weavers.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's weaving a star
Where's
circle.
that history teacher now?
Right?
I can too make connections.
They also made forming unions or any combinations, any sort of like groups of workers getting together to do anything was made fully illegal under something called the 1799 Combination Act. So concurrently,
so if they were like going to go bowling,
I think that
league?
That would probably count as like a public gathering thing. Like everything I read gave vibes that like the levels of oppression were very serious. Like they were going into pubs and being like, if people are talking about their jobs in the pub, we have right to like declare someone a union organizer, right? And then it's against this act. So it was a very oppressive period of time. We jump
but
up
they're working all the time. So what do they even talk about? What would you talk about? We did talk about birds.
Yeah, they're just talking about Garfield and teeth.
Yeah, probably.
They're talking about birds, Garfield, teeth, and all the horrible food that they have to eat in England because it's like kidneys and brains and blood.
Fair.
Yeah.
Peas.
Peas, mushy peas.
Yeah, the mushiest peas.
So wait, did all the existing guilds get shut down?
Yeah, everybody has to disband. So everybody goes underground. I didn't see anything that indicated that like everything fully disbanded, but it was like, we're no longer going to meet at this meeting hall, right? This is no longer a thing. It doesn't exist. So then in 1805, there's a strike in Scotland, and some weavers are at it again.
Hell yeah,
right?
My people.
So these Scottish weavers just go on a strike, and they're like, we need wages fixed to the cost of living. We are not working for less than that. A very small ask in the grand scheme of things. It is not like we would like to become wealthy. It's like, if we're going to do this work, we should live to do it. So that spurs this renewed interest in organized labor across the UK. And in 1808, they try to pass a minimum wage bill in Parliament that supporters are like, look, people are all impoverished. Everybody is just completely desperate, sad, hungry, lost, and we're all working all the time. We have to do something. The bill doesn't pass. So days after, like within 3 days after, 15,000 weavers in the United Kingdom all go on strike immediately, which is a lot of people anyway, but like in the 1800s, it feels like a very substantial number of people.
Yeah.
Like suddenly there's 15,000 people just in the street. So they're in Manchester. There is like a mass vandalism of the machinery in these weaving factories. One of the strikers ends up dead, but they kept going.
Wait. Who is doing the vandalizing of the machinery? Was it the strikers or
this says the strikers? Who knows? I mean, they sort of just said one of the machines was vandalized, whatever.
One of them, that was an accident.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that the one dead striker was like bumped into the machine and both ended each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's
could be the same incident.
It's an old-timey machine situation. Everything's just string and prayers at that point.
Yeah.
But
there's probably
we don't have
needles
OSHA
involved.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's true. We need all the OSHA we can get.
What are the child labor laws at this point? Probably not good.
We don't have unions yet.
No.
We don't have any of this.
There's no
We don't have
child
unions.
labor laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, put the smallest worker inside the machine.
Oh, there's a jam.
Yeah.
Send them in.
It's like the end of Snowpiercer, right? There's like children
Yeah.
in Snowpiercer.
Making a lot of references.
Crawling
today,
into the
but-
train. Did you ever see
Oh,
Snowpiercer's great.
Yeah.
It's about
I know the book is supposed to be good.
fully climate changed ice world where there's one train that has the rest of the living people on it, and it just goes around the equator over and over and over again.
Whoa.
But it's
That train
divided
probably
economically
smells
from
so
back to
bad.
front. It's very
They've
cool.
got
Yeah, it
places
would
to
be,
put
huh?
the smells.
Oh, okay.
But this striking works out. Wages get increased 20%.
Hey, not bad.
So then, in 1812, we have the emergence of the very first radical socialist pro-labor society. This is called the Society of Spencean Philanthropists, which were named after
Okay.
Thomas
This
Spence.
is a lot of. They need
Yeah, we
to.
can
They need
work
to get
on the
marketing.
branding.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, this was a time when that sounded sexy, right? Like, oh yeah, we're
Will you say it again?
we're Spencean. It's the Society of
Spencean.
Spencean Philanthropists. They're named
Okay.
after
Society of Spency.
Spencean.
Okay.
So there was a guy
It sounds
named Thomas
like
Spence.
a cutesy nickname for
Okay.
somebody.
Yeah. This guy's name was Thomas Spence. He was
Okay.
a radical agitator. They all admired him, so they were
Sick.
like, "We're Spencean. We're Spencean philanthropists."
Okay. It's like Kafka-esque, but
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Spencer.
Yeah. So yeah, they form this thing. Radicalism continues to increase until the end of the Napoleonic Wars. And then there's this general economic downturn because of that in 1850, which then leads to a further revival of the pro-labor politics. Because during that time, we have a lot of a lot of workers whose wages are taxed like half, like 50% full on. So they're like, oh, cool, I get 2 pence, and now I have 1 pence, and I
And then
need
the
6
richer.
pence.
Great.
Exactly. Thank you, Chelsea. I was
Oh, six
going
pence.
there.
That's the one. Damn.
The richer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also
I just
feel
go
like,
too early on everything.
No, we love it. We love it. You're eager, and aggressiveness is important to podcasting.
Okay.
But assertiveness.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't mean it in a negative way. Like, aggressiveness is great. There's nothing wrong with aggressiveness. It's also assertive. Look, we're not here to debate that.
I also feel like there being a war on also impacts this, like, because then you can we have to reduce your wages for patriotism.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so
Every time.
you have that where
Yeah.
that is going into this, right? Like, the taxes are paying for some of the war stuff. There's also this thing where, hey, guess what? Wartime food prices, they're not going to go back
Yeah.
down, but
Nope.
come back to work for post-war low unemployment fueled wages where we don't have to pay you anything, but corn still costs like 100 instead of costing like 4.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't get much corn for I can't do anything. I'm not eating any corn anymore.
Man, corn does cost 100.
It does. It's too much.
Yes.
It's far too much. Unironically, after the passage of the Corn Laws, which prohibited the importation of cheap grains, which was just benefiting all the, basically if you disallow that importation, you're benefiting all the wealthy people who have these limited commodities.
Mm-hmm.
There was a huge riot.
Mm.
So they basically
Corn riot?
Yeah. I mean, it's a type of corn riot.
Is that what they called it? Corn riot?
Well, what they called it was
It's Cornwall. That's what that town is named after.
yeah. They formed a wall. They held hands with corn, and no one
That's
was
the
able
wall
to
that
get
corn
through.
couldn't cross.
It's true. Yeah. But yeah, so there's all this rioting, Everybody's like, hey, I can't afford food, and you guys are rigging the system so that we can't get cheaper food.
Mm-hmm.
So you're forcing us into you're killing us two ways. It sounds very Trumpian, right? Trump wants to put a bunch of tariffs on a bunch of shit that gets imported at a time when
That's what I
everybody's
was thinking
sad
when
that
you
it
were
costs
talking
too
about
much. It's a little
Yeah.
weird. It's like it's almost as if they don't care about people at all.
What?
Huh.
I know. It's very weird, right? Because
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
So there's all this rioting. The lawlessness and rioting leads to another government crackdown. And those are known as the gagging acts
Oh,
Ew.
no.
because literally everybody was like,
Mm.
these are terrible acts. What are you trying to pull on us?
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. That's better.
better,
I thought
yeah.
it was worse. I thought it was
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it is
nefarious.
bad. The gagging acts lead to our beloved Spenceans and
Got it.
our Spencean philanthropists. They get suppressed by the government.
Mm.
The gagging acts also suspend habeas corpus,
Mm.
which and also extends power to magistrates that basically lets them just ban public gatherings that they deem.
It's the I know it when I see it rule.
Exactly.
But for gatherings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That bowling league is definitely not getting a pass.
So it's a full down authoritarian fascist crackdown. They're like, oh, people are angry that we want to overcharge them for food and not give them alternative channels for it. Well, guess what? We're going to keep them from gathering. We're going to deny them their right in court to defend themselves, right? Because without habeas corpus, it basically says, like, if we decide you're a criminal, you're a criminal. The end, go to jail. And we won't be talking about this further. It's martial law. So they do all these things. There's a bunch of protests to the gagging acts. Duh.
Yeah.
And workers in Manchester, who famously were like throwing down, being weavers, attempt to march on London in something called the Blanketeers March.
Oh.
Because they weaved blankets or
That's cute.
Because they brought blankets to sleep on the roadside while they were walking from
Oh,
Manchester
nice.
to London.
Aw,
But
the weavers did make those probably
they
then.
did, yeah, right? It's very, and plus, like, you imagine the sort of, like, there's kind of a capiness to it, so everybody looks very cool, like they've got their blankets.
Oh, hell yeah.
It probably didn't actually look like that, but I like to think so.
Well, it probably did look pretty
Cozy. Sorry.
grayscale, like pretty goth.
Oh, sure, yeah, it was
This
definitely.
Like it's all wool we're working with, wool and cotton, maybe some linen.
But unfortunately, the military intercepts all of them. So the Blanketeers don't succeed in their march. They are driven off or arrested. And the British government decides, like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because we're obviously the good guys in this, and we will never look back on our history and decide we were on the wrong side. We're going to hire some spies and some agent provocateurs to go in and just fuck with the labor movement. So we need to get some people in there, and they need to start spreading shit and beating people up and making things look real shady. So they try to do all this, hoping that public opinion is going to turn against workers. And guess what? It doesn't do that. Cool. Turns out people who are poor and hungry still go like, well, the poor and hungry guy probably more correct than the people who are telling us that the poor and hungry people are wrong for being angry about being poor and hungry. So there's a new round of strikes, and these are led by a guy named John Gast, who ends up being named the philanthropic Hercules.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, did you did like muscle arms? Did he actually look like Hercules or no?
No, I could not really find any pictures of him. But I mean, he was a shipwright, so he could have been. He could have been beefy.
Yeah. Okay.
So all of this leads to a bunch of pro-labor political agitation, and throughout industrial Britain in 1819, there is a incident that takes place known as the Peterloo Massacre.
That sounds bad.
So units from the Manchester and Salford Yeomanry and the 15th Hussars, which I assume these are just different military groups within the UK.
Okay.
Attack a crowd of 80,000 people.
Oh.
And it only fortunately results in 18 deaths as far as what the history I was able to find said, and 500 injuries. But the British government then responds again by being like, okay, we need to be more draconian. So they pass another law called the Six Acts. And the Six Acts are real dumb because they basically just say you can't like it basically sets a bunch of rules that allow almost every form of labor related stuff to be illegal so that they can just put
Yeah.
people in jail. So it's terrible. Then we have a social
Wait,
reform.
like what else? Okay, we already have like gathering. I'm sure that there's like conspiring to unionize. So, yeah, more gathering.
One of the acts
like
has to do with
notes or
misdemeanors too, so I think it would be like here's the long list of nonviolent things that you could be doing that we can say are crimes under these acts. And it could be as simple as like helping each other out or discussing like, hey, I don't get paid very much. That
Giving
sucks,
your neighbor
right?
food.
Yeah. Like feeding the meter.
Building community.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So in 1819, we get a social reformer named Francis Place who starts the reform movement, and that's to lobby Parliament to get rid of the Combination Acts and the Six Acts and all these things. So finally, in 1824 and 1825, they get unions legalized. Then there is a thing called Chartism, which was the first labor movement in like a massive working class labor movement in the world and originated in England. And that was between 1838 and 1848. And so it stipulated...
Chartism?
Sorry?
Sorry, go on. What did it stipulate? Maybe it'll answer my question. It
stipulated 6 main aims. Number 1 was suffrage for all men aged 21 and over, because at this point, only the very wealthy were still allowed to vote. Second, voting by secret ballot.
Secret ballot.
Secret ballot got voting. It. Equal sized constituencies. So basically they're saying like you can't gerrymander us out of having any influence over government. Great.
Yeah.
Pay for members of parliament. So it was basically like, hey, these people need to be compensated so that they work to do the job of governing rather than not needing it and doing whatever the fuck they please. An end to the need for a property qualification. So it basically opened it up so that, hey, if you don't have huge land holdings, you can also be part of parliament, which was not allowed prior to that. And then annual elections. So rather than just, hey, whoever feels like sitting there for as long as they want to, they were like, let's do this. However, Chartism eventually dies out, but Britain did adopt the first 5 of those reforms and not the annual elections, because as we know, they have snap elections in the UK where the prime minister calls and says, hey, we're going to have an election in 3 weeks. Let's do it. And then everybody's like, you've been bad and we're happy to see you go.
Well, God, wouldn't that be nice instead of having to do like 18 months of election over here?
18 months every 2.5 years. Yeah, that would be cool. So that's the very first is probably in the UK with this kind of Chartism movement and unions getting legalized through a bunch of protesting and persistence by workers despite direct oppressive violence on them by their government and their communities.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
I love that it was weavers at the forefront.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, you see that sort of a lot, not necessarily with unions for all of these anecdotes, but that I have in my brain that I haven't said out loud yet. But you see like artisans at the forefront, which I think plays a big part. I mean, going back to our conversation about AI, like we're in sort of a second industrial revolution in that capacity, right? Like the industrial revolution came in and made a lot of these artisanal crafts less I mean, they cost more. They cost more than the mass manufactured stuff. And so you can see how they would be sort of leading the charge there. And it was like leather workers and shoemakers, cobblers. Got cobblers on the brain.
We're gonna talk about shoemakers. as we talk about the U.S. labor
No.
union.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
It was led by them over in the U.S.
But it is nice because, right, weavers make me think of the song Dreamweaver. And what better dream to weave than one of a unionized workforce where people are
That's
rightfully
beautiful.
compensated for their efforts and their contribution to the economy?
Speak it.
Love
Speak it,
it.
sister.
So the U.S., should we jump to the U.S. real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
I
take a
do not
boat.
have that level of info.
All right. In the U.S., the earliest recorded strike occurs in 1768, so this is just in the colonies. We're not even boom USA yet or anything. So a group of New York journeyman tailors, it's always the artisans, are like, you're cutting our wages? Fuck you guys. We're going on strike.
Yeah.
Then in 1794, in Philadelphia, just up the road from where I sit right now, the Federal Society of Journeyman Cordwainers.
They're the leather and
They're shoemakers.
Okay.
cobblers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cordwainers
Okay,
is just a fancy way for shoemaking. Yeah. They start the first sustained trade union among American workers. So we're all the way back to 1794. Shoemaking is. Go ahead.
Did you look at the etymology of cordwainer?
No, I didn't. You got to tell me about this.
Okay. It's fun. You're gonna like it. It is like, what's it called when you take a word from another language and you say it wrong? Like foyer is foyer in French.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever that is called. It's one of those. Like it's based on a French word that is a type of leather, and that leather is from like somewhere in like Spain.
Okay.
And that was considered like the nicest, most luxurious leather. And so it's this like, I don't know, I like how that language evolved. We heard it one way, took it, said it incorrectly, and further adapted it into this to have this other meaning.
Someone is saying leather daddies in a language you don't understand, and then you say it, and you're like, leather father? And people are like, sure,
exactly.
I guess. That's close enough.
Leather papa.
Oh, that's cute. We should do that.
Yeah, that is cute.
So shoemaking is one of the most lucrative trades in Philadelphia in the 18th and 19th century. So this is where the battleground happens. People are making money off of shoes. Guess what people don't have in this time? Cars. Guess what people don't have if they don't have a lot of money in this time? Horses. Guess what they're doing a lot? Walking the fuck around. They got to cover their feet. There's poop everywhere. You got open sores on your tootsies. You don't want to get poop in there. You're going to lose a foot.
Tetanus
you
everywhere.
need someone to wane your cord and cord your wane.
Oh, yeah. And that suffix is Middle English. It means like maker.
Oh, okay.
So it's fancy leather maker is really what it is.
Yeah.
So there's just a bunch of like... there's a trial in 1806, which is called the Philadelphia Cordwainers trial. The trial is a contest between these laborers against the master shoemakers who employ them. But it's also a trial for the Federalist views that Thomas Jefferson had touted as the ideals of our country. So the decision upheld by the Federalist notions of protection of property place the United States basically on a course to do industrial manufacturing through the use of wage labor. Basically, the Federalists, surprise, surprise, were like, hey, guess what we could do, guys? We could get really rich by exploiting people doing stuff. Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we protect our country by making sure that we're getting the most out of what we've got and making a bunch of money doing it?
So this was also maybe the first time in the U.S. where the government essentially said, like, favored corporations over people.
Yeah. Well, because that was the first time that they had corporations as a thing, right? Like they were favoring wealthy families, the gentry,
Yeah.
landholders over everybody else. But that was
Yeah.
maybe seen as like, well, my buddy and your buddy and whatever, and like
Those
this
were
is a thing.
individuals. Yeah.
Right. And now suddenly it's, well, what if this group of dudes is all
Mhm.
colluding to ensure that this larger group of people is oppressed, but they survive,
Yeah.
but they're oppressed.
Ugh.
Yeah. So in 1827, the Mechanics Union of Trade Associations forms in Philly, and labor bodies begin uniting all of the craft unions
Nice.
within Philadelphia.
Wait, what year? What year was that?
1827.
So we're still in the period. So with the Cordwainers, they didn't rule just against the Cordwainers, but against the idea of unions broadly, that if you were involved at all, you were conspiring and could be thrown in jail.
Yeah, you were effectively anti-American,
So-
right? Because by Federalist ideas, America does best by using these people's labor to enhance the value of the economy.
And that didn't get overturned for a long time. So 1847, go on. Tell me what these mechanics are up to.
So yeah, so the Mechanics Union, this is 1827. And then
27, right. I think it's in the 40s that it gets repealed.
there is also the International Typographical Union in 1852. So a bunch of these unions kind of start coming together. They're even working between the US and Canada. So many unions are international because Canadians are like, yeah, you guys, you got it, eh? We're not sorry to unionize. Team.
No. Sorry.
We're not sorry.
There you go.
And then the National Labor Union is founded in Baltimore on August 20th of 1866, which, listeners, today is August 20th, 2024.
Oh.
I cannot do the math in my head quickly enough to tell you how long it's been since 1866, but this is an anniversary of the National Labor Union Foundation as we put this episode on digital tape.
158. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So look at us. 158th anniversary of the National Labor Union. So this National Labor Union is the first time that they try to create a national group in the U.S. One of the first actions was to call for Congress to mandate an 8-hour work day.
Yay!
What do you know?
But I think we could have gone shorter.
Yes,
should have.
I agree.
6 or less, please.
That
4 would be good. Yeah.
Then William Harding, who you might remember for being President William Harding at one point, I think, was also at that time president of the Coachmakers International Union.
Oh, nice.
And met with William H. Silvis, who was president of the Iron Molders International Union, and Jonathan Fincher, head of the Machinists and Blacksmiths Union. And at that meeting, they said that we're starting this union. This union's happening, and we're going to set up committees
Mega union
to study all kinds of things. So they start with that 8-hour workday, but they start into a lot of other things. Like, hey, we need to maybe kids shouldn't do work all the time. Maybe that's a thing we can talk about later. Maybe not right now, but maybe we should also guarantee that like people can have time to like eat, and maybe they should be able to have time to like smoke cigarettes or whatever things that they can afford so that they feel focused.
Let's circle back to the kid thing. If they're not working, what will they be doing?
It's true.
Great.
I mean,
question.
We don't have a lot of those hoops and sticks lying around, so these kids are going to be running amok.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make them newsies.
Oh,
So
good
they
idea.
dance.
There we go.
So they dance, and then they'll unionize themselves.
Oh,
Right?
Perfect.
Isn't that movie adorable? That Disney in the 90s was like, you kids need to watch a movie about kids unionizing because you're not going to understand how important this is. And
Oh, is that actually what happens? I've
yeah,
never
they
seen
fuck
it.
Christian Bale sings and they unionize. It's
well, I
great.
knew Christian Bale was in it. That's about all I knew.
I knew that.
I knew he was little,
Yeah.
and I knew that there was dancing, and it was cute.
Yeah, same. That's all I knew.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to get screwed over by the
Disney's really
paper man,
falling
mister.
off.
Hell
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, dope.
It takes decades for this 8-hour workday to happen. But
yeah.
by 1912, it finally gets into Theodore Roosevelt's campaign. And Roosevelt's slogan for the movement becomes 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours for what you will. Which I think we've all
Hell
seen
yeah.
like the woodcut images of this kind of thing in triptych and the idea of what it is, right? 1916, William Adamson introduces the Adamson Act, which was specifically aimed at railroad workers, but it created a boost for this 8-hour workday campaign, and it passed in September of 1916. So railroads, the companies, immediately protested that because they're like, how are we gonna make these people make trains all day long if you tell them they don't have to do that all the time?
Listen, it'll get done when it gets done.
Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, railroad companies railroaded both their workers and government.
Mm-hmm. Is that the origin?
I mean, I hope so. Look,
it might be.
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Yeah,
we've done
I'm
it today,
to believe that.
right here.
Yeah,
we claim it. It's ours. It belongs to us now. So the Supreme Court has to hear the case over whether this law can be in place, right? Because the railroads are pissed, and they're doing what all corporate entities do, which is try to change the law, right? They might even say, "Hey, we're not going to change the law. They're going to change. They're going to change the law because they're all evil. That's what they do. That's what happens when you let corporations have money and participate in government. They make things in their own image, regardless of what they tell you they're going to do. But the Supreme Court, super cool, is like, nah, law's good.
Okay.
We're going to keep this law in place. Unions start building more power. They get into state government. State governments start legislating working hour limits. Hey, you can't work 80 hours in a week. That's too many work. This is going to be overtime, we're going to call it. We're going to call that over the amount of time that you're allowed to work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Then there is the Fair Labor Standards Act, which is also sometimes known as a wages and hours bill that gives everybody even more protections, okay? We're getting 40-hour work weeks. That's the maximum, officially mandated. We're also saying that you have to get bonus salary if you work beyond those 40 hours. Guess what? It's not legal to work at the same rate in hour 41.
Now, is this still in place? Because I'm owed some back payments.
Yeah.
Apparently salary is treated differently.
Yeah, salary is different.
So...
Sorry.
I know.
In some states, if you're in California, I think even if you're salary, you get overtime.
It's true.
Yeah.
It depends on where you are. Colorado
doesn't,
because it's still a right to work state.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of these just horrible little loopholes that we have built in. America's trade and labor unions just keep growing. The AFL is founded in 1886. And at its pinnacle, that's the American Federation of Labor.
Thank you.
And it ends up having 1.4 million members at its peak. It's also credited with negotiating wage increases and enhancing workplace safety. So they're like, hey, look, people are going to get paid and they're not going to get hurt here.
Yeah.
And this is non-negotiable. And guys are like, oh man, I just got my employee cheating and killing machine from the shop. I'm really bummed out. However, am I going to make tires now if everybody gets to live and survive? So a bunch of there's the Congress of Industrial Organizations and the AFL come together because that Congress of Industrial Organizations is the CIO. We're all familiar with the AFL-CIO, which is one thing now. They merge in 1955. They go through this massive expansion post-World War II because, during and post, because a bunch of people join the union who can't go to war. A bunch of women join the union. And then a bunch of men come back and have union jobs that they're getting back into. And then we jump to more current day statistics about this, which is that as of 2015, the union membership rate was about 11.1%. So 14 million American workers are in unions as of now 9 years ago. And basically union power and membership peaks around 1970. Nixon appears and starts to unravel all the greatness, and then Reagan helps. But
fucking Reagan.
and it's
It
just, yeah, it's
always is
just the
him,
steady
right?
decline of all. It is always him. It is always
Yeah.
because so much of that too, like all of the narrative around like welfare queens and these concepts of people leeching off of systems work really well when, if you're in a labor union, you're paying your dues, you're not getting a lot more money because now it's 20 years, well, now it's 10, 15 years on from when your union was at its most powerful. You're seeing less and less results because there's just less and less clout behind you. And then
Mhm.
this guy is coming on TV and being like, "Hey, it's not your fault. It's these other people who were helping's fault. And if we
Mm.
take it away
Right.
from them, it'll come back to you. And if we take taxes away and make corporations make shitloads of money, it'll trickle down to you, and then you don't have to be in a union." And this
Yeah.
is the environment that we all grew up into, was this idea that like, oh, we'll just pour all the money on the guy at the top of the champagne pyramid, and surely it'll get
Right.
to me under the table where I
Mm.
am chained to the legs of the table with a bowl of like a dog bowl, hoping that a little champagne drips in it. And there you go. That's where we're at. Labor union.
Oh.
So it's a happy story.
It's a very happy story. Let me name my sources real quick just so I don't forget to do it. There's a great PBS.org article which talks about 6 facts of labor union history in the US. Awesome. There is a guides.loc.gov article which is about the National Labor Union 8-hour workday. There
Hmm.
is great Wikipedia articles on the trade unions in general that covers both the UK and the US stuff that I talked about as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I also read that PBS article, and my favorite part was that all 6 items were listed as number one.
Yeah.
Huh.
Um,
I couldn't decide if that was a formatting error or if that was an intentional, like, these are all equally important.
I think
You
formatting.
probably,
Probably
yeah.
I think
formatting.
that
I
was
like to
a
give PBS the benefit of the doubt, you know?
yeah. I had one fact, but I mentioned earlier that I'm frustrated with iCloud,
Mm.
and here's another reason. My notes have not
Oh
synced to my
no.
computer. Um, so I'm going to get the exact date wrong, but the first time a minimum wage was set in America was in Massachusetts. I forget exactly when, probably the early 1900s, and it was 7.25 an hour.
Oh, great.
I was like, I made
So
less
it's
than
not
that
cheap.
in 2000.
Yeah.
In the
No,
mid 2000s, I made less than that
no, you're
in
you're
Arkansas.
you're
Yeah.
you're you're kidding. It was
No.
7.25 an hour in Massachusetts in the early 1900s.
Well,
That's
they
what I had in my notes, but I know that I have the date wrong.
the
Let me
one in
see if I can.
Pennsylvania was they were going for $6 for their minimum. And I was like, wow, that's not far off from the current
Yep.
national minimum wage, which is 7.25.
1912 was the first state minimum wage in Massachusetts at 7.25, and then my notes are just 1,000 question marks because I was like, I was making $1 less than that.
I mean, and 7.25 a day would be very good in 1912. Like it would be absurdly good in 1912, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I guess maybe it is per
I mean,
day.
still,
I
I thought
didn't
it was
write
per
down
still.
hour.
units or
Wow.
cite my
I'm
sources.
inflation calculating real quick. I'm gonna see what that actually is.
It's gonna be it's gonna make me sad.
Oh, we're all gonna be very sad, Chelsea. Okay, maybe it has to be 1913. Is that the case? Yep.
Oh, interesting. And it only covered women and children.
Uh, so $7.25 in 1913, which is the earliest year that this calculator will allow entry to, would uh, purchase $230 worth of money, worth of
Oh
things
my God.
in 2024.
It's per week. It's per
Okay,
week.
great.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. Okay.
but
Okay.
Okay.
well, yeah, okay,
Okay.
okay. Isn't it? Money's just fucked up anyway. It's just all of this
Hmm.
stuff. Like we could avoid all of this if we just sort of embrace the idea that everybody deserved to like live a fulfilling life, or at least a like
Yeah.
sustainable life, if not guaranteeing
Yeah.
fulfillment. Uh,
Just healthy and warm and safe.
yeah,
That's all I want for everybody.
that's what all this goes to show is that labor unions are more important now than ever because we are in a very similar spot to these historical spots, and the fact that the power of unions has receded over time, but is now appearing to gain momentum, comes from the sheer fact that like literally everybody's getting like stomped down, and these companies are making massive profits year over year, even over the pandemic and through inflation, quote unquote. They are making shitloads of money hand over fist, and we're all like, oh man, I can't believe like corn costs 100. What the fuck?
It costs 100.
This is not reasonable. If corn cost
start growing my own
100 in
corn.
1913,
Yeah.
if corn cost 100 in 1913, it would cost 3,177
Jesus
today.
Christ.
Can you imagine?
Whew. Don't have to.
You can't corn at that price.
No.
We don't have corn anymore.
We don't.
Candy corn is cheaper though.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, yeah.
Candy corn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it's like candy
nutritious.
corn season too. I don't know if y'all have seen, but our grocery stores all now have Halloween candy in them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Most stores have their Halloween decorations out for a purchase. Did get a Frankenstein. Target.
Just a little guy? You got a little guy?
No, he's a cookie. It's a cookie.
oh, it's a Frankenstein cookie?
No, I'm
Oh,
ruining
cookie
it.
jar?
It's cookie jar.
Cookie jar.
Yeah, and it's pastel and it's beautiful.
Aw,
Hold on,
cute.
let me
Oh,
get
send
in
us
there.
pictures.
Yeah,
We were in
I'm about to.
Kohl's the other day, and they had a giant skull that was like
Love that.
it was like as big as my arms around. It was a huge skull with light up eyes. But it was like $90, and I was just like, oh man, it's gonna take up a lot of space.
Okay, well,
in
you
the
got to go
basement
back
part of the year.
November 1st.
It's true. Yeah. Please show me to your discount skulls.
Yeah.
I am a very important businessman, and I have money to spend on your discount skulls. Oh man. Yeah. The thing that always baffles me about this is like the path of least resistance for all of these things, for union stuff, for everything else, is to just like find actual sustainable ways of making sure people are happy. And it's wild that there's so much like routine and repeated resistance to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't want like, okay, Kelly, if you don't want Mouse to like claw at your leg in the evening, you feed him, right? You make sure that he's a happy little chonker boy.
So
Yeah, it's a little different than that just because of Pavlov and cats not having a brain, but I hear what you're saying.
Sure.
I feel like it's not necessarily always just making people happy, but providing representation. And I think that that's really important, is that it allows representation of the worker at the table when normally there is no representation.
We all want to have a feeling of control over our future, even if it's not actually there. And so, representation is huge. I mean, I also think part of the thing we confront now is the whole 888 thing is a lovely thing conceptually and a huge achievement in the 1800s, but in the 18 and 1900s. But like now, well, one, I don't feel like the 8 is the same. I feel like I definitely am connected to work much longer than I used to be. Like I don't punch out and work is gone. Like the day ends, but at any point I could get a Slack message. And if it's something that is emergent and concerning, I better be ready to deal with it. So there's that. Yep. There's also the factor that like the other two 8s don't really exist, and they don't really exist in a similarly satisfying way, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Especially with economic erosion. Like, cool, I've got 8 hours to sleep. Fine. Like we don't have to quibble over like I don't sleep that long or whatever. That's all fine. But that other 8 hours, how much of that time is actually mine? If I have a commute, quite a bit less of it is mine. And then if I'm not making that much money at my job, then that time has less utility to it. Like, or it has different utility. Like if just that there's a big difference in the privilege of being a person who has enough money to go like, okay, I'm done with work for the day. I'm going to go home. And because I can afford a housekeeper, I'm going to sit on my ass for that 8 hours until I go to bed and sleep for 8 hours. Whereas most of us go like, oh man, well, 3 to 4 of my hours are used up in waking up, getting awake, dreading my existence,
Yeah.
bathing and or getting presentable so that I can go act like I don't dread my existence. Then you spend time in traffic, then you come home, spend more time in traffic, then you have to do a number of other things to deal with mental health and physical health and all this other stuff. And then ultimately, like,
and the dishes.
and the dishes, yeah.
The dishes.
Well, yeah, there's the dishes and there's
All the
lawn
time.
mowing and there's, oh, this thing leaks and that thing's broken and whatever. And you're dealing with all this stuff. So you're never untethered from that. And it's the gross seepage of capitalism from the workday into everything else, where, because I would, and we don't have to go down this rabbit hole for too long, but this is the episode to do it. It bums me out that the way that, like, the internet has led a lot of us, is that it leads us into new dark places that we didn't confront during the day. Whether it's, hey, I got to buy this thing that I forgot I had to buy, or, ooh, these are things I can't afford, but now I want them. Or, hey, here's a bunch of information about things that I will never be able to change myself, but now I feel really shitty about the world in a new and personal way that is going to diffuse my ability to, like, chill out and be like, yay, I'm so glad I worked at the butt factory today and now I can sit on mine, you know.
I'll never be able to afford a butt of my own.
Exactly, right? It's like, come on. They used to cost 100 and now they cost
and honestly, even 100 was a lot.
It was. They don't call them assets for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is hard.
Yeah.
So here's my thought. Like, I've been a big fan since I first read about it, like universal basic income as a solution to many of the problems that capitalism runs into.
Yep.
And you know, UBI is sort of an end around having to have labor unions, because you go, hey, look, everybody gets enough money so that they can live and pay the rent and eat and everything else. And then it unlocks the nature of capitalism as, well, now everybody who wants to be rich can be rich on their own merit. And you sure fucking can. If you want to spend, if you have enough money to live and you still decide that you want to go, like, do private equity for 90 hours a week so that you can have an airplane, go for it, fucko. Like, I don't care. You're still hurting people, but you're not able to hurt them in all the ways that matter the most.
Right, yeah.
And so people don't have to strike necessarily, because they're like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but they can't make housing too expensive or food too expensive or any of these things because I get this money that covers that. And so there's a vested interest in society in keeping those prices capped.
I mean, they'd figure out a way.
Absolutely. They always do, right? There's always a new technology and greed.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. What's the most recent thing that a union has gotten us? I mean, because I was looking at the list of all the stuff that we have to thank unions for, and I really appreciate all of it. But I was trying to think of, and I know, like, the next step likely will probably be a 4-day work week, or at least there are some. Is it some local governments that are instituting it? Not necessarily unions, but that seems to be where the labor movement might be going, is a 4-day work week, which
that would be dope.
There's a lot of movement in Europe about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
In one of the, like, Sweden, like one of the countries that's already on the right track.
Yeah.
It must have been, like, family leave.
Oh yeah, I think that was the last one.
That's a very good point. Yeah, because I mean, otherwise we have unemployment insurance and Social Security, and even things like Cobra, which allows you to keep your health insurance even if you get let go. Like, which, I mean, it
costs $1 million.
Yeah, it's not a good deal, but it exists.
Over 100.
Oh, it costs so much corn. You could buy so much corn for Cobra. But it's fun to say as if you're Cobra Commander from the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You want to? Yeah.
You're making a great point.
I am. I am making a great point.
I was about to make the same point.
And Labor Day itself was created by unions.
Oh, right.
Which just passed at time of release. And yeah, it's important that we remember what Labor Day is.
Wait, why don't we wear white after it? Is that a thing?
Yeah, what?
There was a video I started that said, I'm going to tell you why we don't wear white after Labor Day. And this is all about labor unions. And then I didn't get to that part before I turned it off. Sorry, person who made the video.
It has. I am not going to remember. I remember so little that I should stop talking, but try and stop me. It has something to do, I think, with fabric making. I think that it was, or at least with fashion, because it came down to a sign of wealth. It was like, don't wear white after Labor Day, asterisk, if you are poor.
Yep.
And
damn. Okay.
I can't remember the specifics. If I had to guess, it would be like, that's when the weather starts to turn and it becomes a show of wealth to keep your whites clean. But I'm not sure.
No, this is what an article on the Pioneer Women website says.
Nice.
That you basically, it's an economic divide. You are looking at just like people who are rich. Okay, so yeah, according to the Farmer's Almanac, the concept of not wearing white started in the 19th century, so the upper class could separate themselves from the working class. The lighter and brighter clothing was worn by affluent groups who could afford to leave town for a summer holiday and not worry about staining those clothes.
Okay.
Crushed it. Shout out to all those historical garment construction YouTube videos I've been watching.
Nice job.
In something I read about the Cordwainers and their first big protests, it felt like I was reading news from today. It was about the destruction of property. And that was really blown out of proportion. Destruction of property. These protesters are violent. They're running mad in the streets. And it was a single potato was thrown and broke a window.
Yeah, we have like two total narratives. That's it.
Yeah, no, truly. I mean, what is that thing you learn in like studying literature? There are five stories. Everything is just a
variation of it.
Variation. It's true here too.
It is. Because a bunch of people are like, oh no,
history repeats
I have a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if somebody smashes my window with a potato? And it's like, well, is anybody mad at you? No. Well,
do you have insurance?
Then why are you upset about it?
Yeah. Do you have insurance? You're fine.
Yeah, just go pay $3 a month more for a potato policy and you're covered.
Yeah.
State Farm needs to get in there and stop making this into a political issue.
Also, is one window. Go talk to the artisans.
Yeah, seriously.
They'll make you another. Pay them.
Like, it's an old window anyway. They're literally still liquid. Just pour a new window in there and shut up. Is it time for the MouthGarf Report?
Yeah.
The MouthGarf Report. Open wide for some lasagna. I hate Mondays.
MouthGarf!
The other day, I put in my new retainer, or one of my new retainers, or my Invisaligns, and I had a hair in it, and I didn't know, and it was the worst feeling. And I was like, I'm dying, and I had to like pull it, and I could just feel it, and I was like, this is awful. And I took it off, and I put it back in, and like a different hair got in. I don't know what was going on, but it was not a good day. And I was like, oh, did we both mouth garf some hair?
I've done that before.
It's so bad.
Probably with mouse hair.
It's so
in addition to my own.
I easily did that a couple of weeks ago. Same thing. And it's like, and it's the worst when like that hair gets in and then it like threads between your teeth.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with like, I can't even get a hold of it, but it's there. I can feel it. You can tongue it. It's, did either of you see the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David has like a hair caught in his throat? It's a whole thing. Yeah, the whole episode hinges on he goes down on his wife and she hasn't shaved, and then he's like,
I've heard of this episode.
So the whole joke is just Larry David being like over and over and over again. But yeah, it's terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's the MouthGarf Report, folks, and this is a very special MouthGarf Report because we celebrate Garf for hating Mondays, which means he implicitly believes in a 4-day work week. But
Amen.
he also explicitly believes in a no work week because our boy likes to sleep and eat all the time, and we love him for it.
Yep. Hashtag
Yeah, love
relatable.
it.
It's very relatable. Plus, the mouth part, we use our teeth to take a bite
do.
out of corporate power.
Oh, okay.
And
Crime.
lasagna.
And
Oh.
lasagna. And crime. And...
Damn.
So my MouthGarf report is I watched the film Furiosa.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's currently
Don't
on
spoil.
Max, HBO's
For
streaming
free?
service. Yeah, you can just watch it on
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
so
Max
I watched,
is free. Well, not free. You pay for it, but
Mhm.
but
I'm
then
just so
once you
used to having
pay,
to
the
rent
stuff they give you
movies.
is free, kind of. But
Yeah.
the movie's great.
I think we're getting fooled by corporations again. Hold on.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that a thing? Yeah. No, I know the Friezos from Bezos thing isn't really working out. The movie's great. It is, because it's a post-apocalyptic thing and gangs are kind of forms of unions. I think it's an interesting sort of
Oh.
parallel that if you take collective power and you can do horrible things with it and you can do really cool things with it.
Yeah.
The other thing that's great about it is because it's an Australian film, like they have a bunch of character actors with very gnarly teeth. And it's just fun to see, right? Because I feel like most modern movies, everybody's got great teeth.
Yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
too pretty.
Yeah. And
Anymore.
I love seeing like
Some real
a
teeth.
scrawny, scraggly looking dude with bad hair, and he's got a vest
Yeah.
on, he's covered with dirt, and he's like getting ready to steal some gasoline or whatever, and he's just
Mhm.
like his teeth are all fucked up. And it's great. It's great to see those fucked up teeth. So Furiosa, 10 out of 10.
Nice.
Perfect.
Check it out.
Lack of perfect teeth.
Perfect.
And did
perfect.
Anya Taylor-Joy's uncanny valley face distract from the film at all? Or is that just a me thing?
there's one, like, in the early going, they have a young actress who looks strikingly like her, I think.
Oh.
There is sort of a transition period where I feel like they are putting her face on a smaller,
Oh, weird.
like on a girl who's like 14 or
Weird.
something, to try to allow for an aging, because it just
Gross.
it just doesn't quite feel like her face is fitting on there correctly.
She
That's
always
weird.
feels that way to me.
The one uncanny valley moment though is she is riding a motorcycle and she's wearing goggles, like swim goggle type motorcycle goggles, where it's like
Okay.
two individual goggle pieces with a connecting strap.
Yeah.
And because of the eye distance she has, they are kind of notably out, like they feel wide, and
Oh.
it accentuates that
Oh.
wideness,
Sense.
which, no hate on her. I think she's an attractive young lady. She's a very talented
she's
actress.
beautiful.
Like, it's awesome. But that moment was like very, I don't know. So there's like a little bit of an uncanny valley thing going on.
Yeah.
The movie also has a little more CG generally than Mad Max Fury Road had.
Okay.
So it does feel occasionally kind of plasticky, but
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
also like like it's almost a single massive set piece. It's a wild movie. It's like I watched it for the film club that I have with some friends. We're going to talk about it this
fun.
weekend. I know at least one of them is going to hate it because it is it is just all of the ballsest to the wallsest kind of Mad Max nonsense that could be available. Just, and it's great. You got Immortan Joe's in the movie again, and he's got a mask with teeth on it, so that's a MouthGarf adjacent thing. And you got your war boys, the pale looking guys that Nick Holt was one of in Fury Road.
Oh, love him.
And there's even like a small person, a little person who is a war boy. So you have a small, very white person, and they have kind of fun teeth as well. There's a lot of fun
Nice.
tooth stuff.
It's a fun
great.
teeth movie.
It's a great teeth movie.
There's a Hemsworth in this. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth is in
Chris.
it too.
Yeah,
He
okay.
plays the principal bad guy.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also, I think, the person who talks the most in the whole movie. Like,
Oh.
Oh.
because Mad Max movies don't usually have a lot of dialogue anyway.
Oh.
But like, I think
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy has like, I'm gonna guess 15 lines, maybe 20
Oh.
total in the whole
Whoa.
movie in 2.5 hours. Hemsworth talks whenever he's on screen, and he is
Okay.
prone to like big monologues, like grandiose,
Yeah.
I'm the king of the desert kind of shit, you know. And then everybody else has very little lines, so it's kind of just it's a cool movie, and getting to see
Huh.
him showcase being an over the top sort of bad guy with he's got like a prosthetic nose thing happening, and yeah, nipple piercings. There's all kinds of stuff in this movie. It's pretty cool.
Something for everybody, it sounds like.
Yeah. You like trucks? They're in it.
You like goggles?
You like goggles?
Sand.
We got goggles. We got sand.
Sand.
We got secret groves where there might still be water. That's cool. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Now, am I getting this confused with Waterworld? What's the gasoline situation?
They've got a lot of gasoline. There's a gas town in the movie called Gas Town.
Okay.
And it is
Canada.
like just a giant refinery.
Oh, sure.
It's a fortress, and people go get their gas from there so that they can continue to drive around. Yeah.
Fun. I'm gonna have to watch it.
Planet.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's nice too because it's like it's so goofy and so charming for all of the violence that's in it. Because I mean, it's a violent movie, but it's not like it's not like an overtly gory movie. It's kind of like violence, and then just the camp of like we just got a bunch of like Australian people in the desert, and all they can do is like ride around in circles and yell at each other and then fight, and it's charming. It also looks
That's what you want
beautiful.
from a Mad Max, right?
And it's shot in 24 frames per second, so it has that kind of weird sped up energy that makes it feel very Mad Maxy.
I hate that.
I
hate when movies are like that.
That's an uncanny valley thing, and like that's kind of a George Miller, the director's signature, because in the old Mad Max movies, he basically shot them at a lower frame rate so he could speed them up, because he felt like the cars and all the action sequences moved too slowly. And now that they have good, 24 frame per second cameras, so you can do ultra high speed filming, he films in that. So it feels
and
less.
Then he slows it down.
Right. It feels less aggressive, but you still get those things where like there's no blur. So it's just like the frame rate suddenly like seems to be jolting in and out a little bit every once in a while. But it didn't detract from the viewing experience that much. And it's a feast for the senses.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard great things. I haven't seen any since the 80s.
Okay, yeah. Well, you should watch Fury Road first, because that movie is genuinely excellent.
Yeah, I really.
And
like
this is effectively a prequel to it.
Right.
So
yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy is Charlize.
That's right.
Theron.
She is.
Yeah.
You've watched it already. You already know those parts.
It's the collective unconscious. I get all this information. I had something earlier. I was like, don't forget this. Don't forget this for MouthGarf. I have forgotten it. Chelsea, what do you have? And maybe it'll come to me.
That was it. I had a hair on my retainer. I don't know what else. I have no Garf news. I have no mouth. I saw more birds, but that's not super helpful. I've seen a couple new birds this weekend, so I think I saw a new bird today. So.
Oh, what kind?
A killdeer.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And I've been seeing a lot of hawks lately, and that's been pretty cool.
Oh, that is always cool. Mm-hmm. Years ago in my killdeer are very cute.
Yeah.
They got like a little striped collar situation going on.
Yeah.
It's like they're wearing a brown jacket and a white turtleneck that's got black stripes across the neck. When I lived in Denver, on our condo on Washington Street, there's just like those metal railings along the stairs, like the very thin, we have to have a railing, but the stairs are cement. And one morning there was just like a hawk or an eagle sitting there. It was just like hanging out on the end of the rail. And I walked down and it didn't move. It just looked at me. And I like very carefully like walked around it, and it just was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "This is absurd." Because
you're like, "I respect you."
Yeah, because they're big.
You should have made yourself big.
Right?
You gotta like lift your arms up and don't fight me. Don't fight me.
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, look, I don't want any trouble, but also I'm bigger than you. Birds are cool.
their beaks are sharp.
Oh yeah,
Is my
and
understanding.
they got a lot of talons too.
Ugh. I would lose a fight against.
Yeah. They're scary.
Yeah. Falconry was also, when I worked at the kite store, falconry was a big thing. Maybe I've brought this up before, but like people use kites to train falcons
I did not know
to do
that.
things. So they'll like send a kite up that has the bait on it, and they're like, "Falcon, go get the bait," right?
Oh.
And the falcon goes,
Go gadget falcon.
or the falcon leaves. It depends. I mean, maybe the falcon's like, "Fuck you, I'm free." But sometimes they go get the thing and then they come back.
Wow.
So I had a lot of phone conversations with people who were falconers who would be like, "Oh, I bought one of these. Can we replace the XYZ on this thing?" Because there are specific kites that you can buy that actually like sit almost straight up. And not at an angle, so that you can really train the falcon to like leap off of your arm and do a circle straight over your head and then come back down.
Oh, wow.
It's bird people, you know? Bird people.
Best people.
Cool.
Did you remember your thing, Kelly?
Yeah.
Did bird talk jog
No.
anything? All right.
No, well, it did. This isn't what I was going to bring up, but I went to the movies the other day. And when I left, the movies, which actually I was seeing Cuckoo.
Was Nicole Kidman there?
This was not an AMC.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no.
But a cuckoo is a type of clock,
bird.
but
Is a
also there's
type
a
of
bird in that
bird.
clock.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was leaving, there were 2 pigeons
Oh.
canoodling in a parking spot.
Oh.
No, it was nice.
Oh.
It was like they were making out.
Oh. Interesting.
Like they just were like nuzzling their little faces
Oh, that's
together. And I
cute.
was like, so sorry to interrupt.
So no eggs were laid in your presence?
Not in my presence. So I didn't want to disturb them. So I like went
Fair.
the long way around in my car.
Aw,
That's it. That's my only bird news.
that's so cute. I assume you're going to talk about cuckoo on your podcast, so I won't ask, but I'm excited to see it. And I will also say that Hunter Schafer, also a bird, in the British sense of the term.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, is there a bird called Hunter? There probably is.
There probably is a bird called Hunter Schafer or something, right? Like you just need to get an Audubon book and see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that was the MouthGarf Report.
Hooray.
Woo!
Woo.
I want to play a game.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Hold on. Let me get a piece of paper that's blank. This is going to take me forever. I apologize. I should have been more prepared. I started writing down stuff that you all were saying because I wanted to look it up later. And then I used up my paper.
Nothing popped off in our discussion, so you have no precognitive information about this episode of I See What You Did There.
Okay. This is gonna be a bad one, Nate, and I'm so sorry.
But it's gonna be
I'm
fun.
so sorry.
This is gonna be very fun.
I hope you know a bunch of things around what you're about to say, so you can guide us there.
Spoon feed it to us.
Kindly.
You can baby bird it to us.
Yeah. Ooh, we're gonna baby bird it. We're gonna unionize and baby
God.
bird some stuff. Okay.
Oh, it got weird.
Hey, it's always weird. It's always weird. That's what we trade in. We trade in weird here specifically. Almost universally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But here we go. It's all labor unions related. You're going to love it. Number 1, the National Association of Certified Professional Midwives sounds like it would be a perfect example of this, despite they're not calling themselves one. And this is the collective nickname for the flag of the United Kingdom.
Something Union Jack.
Yeah.
Birthing Union Jack? That can't be right. Okay, National Association of Professional Midwives.
Uh-huh. What's another name for birthing?
Pushing baby out.
Pushing baby out.
I agree.
Union Jack.
No, so you have okay.
if a pregnant person has
A baby.
becomes dilated,
Uh-huh.
they are said to
labor
have gone
union?
into this.
Labor.
Right. So
The labor
Union
Union Jack.
yeah,
Wait,
labor union
just
jack.
labor Union Jack,
Just
not
labor
labor
union jack. Yeah,
Why am I doing two of them?
because it's so fun to say. Labor. You're like Little Caesars. Labor.
God, you can
Oh,
tell
I love Little
that,
Caesars.
that we are not going to be mothers because we're
Or like, what? How do people have
push
babies?
baby.
I was
Baby
sitting here
out?
going, the
Baby
National
slide.
Association of Certified Professional Midwives should be a union, and they should be like, we're
Yeah.
the labor union. We are
Truly.
united around labor. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's true.
They're doing labor for ladies. So yeah,
I will say it's only called the Union Jack when it's flown at sea.
Oh.
I think I learned that from Doctor Who, so could be wrong.
what's it called otherwise?
I don't know. Flag.
What's Jack but on land? Is it just John? It's the Union John when it's on land.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, you saw what I did there. Number two, this powerful collective of car builders thinks a second Trump turn will mean curtains for union progress. And this amazing actress has played a vampire, a spider's girlfriend, and maybe even an angel.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Say the first one.
This powerful collective of car builders thinks a second Trump term will mean curtains for union progress.
United Auto Workers Dunst.
You see what I did there?
Oh my God.
United Auto Workers
Good
Kirsten
job.
Dunst. Yeah, Kirsten Dunst. What?
That made my
totally
mouth
works.
feel
Well, I had
weird.
Kirsten
saying
Dunst,
that.
but I couldn't get to work Kirsten.
Or Kirsten. Yeah, you see what I did there?
Kirsten.
Yeah.
She maybe played an angel, guys, in Elizabethtown.
Oh, yeah. Good
Yeah.
callback.
Yeah. Elizabethtown is going to become our new like reference point to all things again.
Yeah.
Like it won't supplant Debs, but it will be like, oh, like Elizabethtown.
It's up there, though.
Yeah. It has a lot of meaning. Okay, number 3. This act of 1993 is a United States labor law requiring covered employers to provide employees with job-protected unpaid leave for qualified medical and family reasons, intended to avoid workers saying FML. And this is the stage name for Ariane Arslani, an American rapper, songwriter, chef, wrestler, and television presenter who debuted with a mixtape titled Bon Appetit, Bitch, in 2011.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
It is. This is also the worst one on the list, so I apologize now and forever for all of this.
And is FML, is that specifically a clue?
It is
Or was
specifically a clue.
Okay.
So,
okay,
like family
okay.
medical
leave.
Yes!
Nice.
Yes! Family Medical Leave Act. Great. Now name me a rapper.
And is act part of it? Or
Action
is leave?
Bronson.
Yeah,
Bronson.
yeah.
Bronson.
Put it
That's
all
it.
together.
Family Medical Leave Action Bronson.
You see what I did
These are
there.
making me have to sound out stuff to the point where my mouth feels weird. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say
that was the longest possible clue I could have written too. That was 2 run-on sentences merged together by an and.
Oh boy, but Chelsea crushed it.
You did. You crushed it. You saw what I did.
I do work a lot with wage stuff, so
Yeah, you're carrying this.
I at least know that stuff. Ooh, I can bring my job knowledge into stuff for the first time.
Hell yeah. You know what I'm doing there before I am even doing it there.
Kiss, kiss, bang, bang.
Shit.
I was trying to think of how to put that into unions, and I could not.
My brain just does not work in that
I'm
direction.
not that fast. I feel like Nate could figure it out, but I cannot.
Yeah, if companies provide you with the things you ask for, you do this. And if they don't, you do this.
Oh, sure.
No.
Yeah. Kiss.
I
Bang,
don't
bang.
personally.
No, yeah, there's not actual kissing of the boot or anything else. Number 4.
I was more focused on the bang.
Oh, well, but I
Yeah,
meant
number 4.
I meant in a kill way, not in a
I know
Womp
that's what
womp.
you meant.
Oh, see, okay, all right.
I'm much more likely to do the one closer to kissing than I am the killing
Fair,
one.
fair. Now we're talking about you too, right? Hold me, kiss me, kill me, thrill me, whatever that song was on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yeah.
Classic stuff. Okay, number 4. Number 4, International Workers' Day is celebrated all over the world, except in the US, on this date, also known for a World War II French aviator's cry for help. And this reads either, I am the Lord thy God, under the Talmudic division of the 3rd century Jewish Talmud, or thou shalt have no gods before me, under the Philonic division used by the Hellenistic Jews and Protestants.
I'm going to go ahead and bow out of this one.
No, Kelly, I can't. Okay. So the first one's International Workers' Day. Oh, is it going to be May Day? Wait,
It is
no,
May
that's
Day.
Oh.
But what day does May Day take place on?
May 1st.
May 1st.
Great. That's the first half.
Okay.
What's the
May
second half?
Okay.
1st commandment.
May 1st commandment. You see what I
Oh
did
my
there?
God,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was expertly reasoned out. I love it. Yeah. Thou shalt have no other gods before me is the first commandment, but it's also sometimes I am the Lord thy God. And then May Day is named after a French guy who's crashing his plane said, help me, which is
I get
May
it.
Day.
May Day. Yeah.
Day. Yeah. Okay.
You saw what I did there. Number 5.
Yeah.
It's number 5 time. The band Loverboy had a hit in 1982 with this labor-adjacent pop rock album about the tedious cycles of capitalism. And this is a private communication system in which only communicating users can participate, intended to prevent data from being read or secretly modified other than by the true sender and recipient.
Is that HIPAA?
Is it everybody's? No. Is it encryption? So the end is encryption, right? So is it everybody's working for the weekend encryption? That's not right.
Week encryption.
Is that
Weekend
right?
to end. It's weekend to end.
Oh.
End-to-end encryption.
Oh.
But you got all of the rest of it. Everybody's
Nice.
working for the weekend to end encryption. You see what I did there?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You saw
Nice
it.
job.
I feel like
Nice job.
Thank you, Chelsea, for doing all of the work on this one.
You know, Kelly, there are weeks whenever I don't say a thing. So
This is why we've unionized against Nate.
It's true. Somebody's got to. And remember, this is our 2nd anniversary episode. So I mean, look at how far we've come.
So it's
There wasn't just a bunch of perplexed silence. There was like, okay.
I mean, we
the
did
fuck
do
is he
6
doing
months where
here?
we were like against each other, and then we just stared at each other. We're like, no.
Yeah.
Now we're a team.
But yeah,
One of us knows all the
each other?
answers, but now we're a team.
yeah. I mean, I know the answers, but I'm also making up the rules of the answers. So
Yeah,
it's not
I'm a fan.
as
That's
if
good.
there's we're just having a good time.
Yeah.
And speaking of having good times, let's talk Debs.
How many Debs? How many Debs? How many Debs? How many Debs?
Let's talk Debs. I mean, personally, for me, I don't know about you guys. I'm like 5 stars on labor unions.
yeah, sure. 5 Debs for labor unions. Jeez, I mean, I don't know.
That's right, Debs.
I have heard some.
God,
I've heard some weird stuff about these labor unions, so maybe no, it's 5.
Well,
it's 5 Debs.
I'm 5 Debs to the mob as well. So
for
I guess
sure.
10 Debs overall.
Yeah, 10 total Debs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope that it wasn't too boring me reading all that stuff off. It's interesting how the history is all kind of always the same. It's like people get fucked over and then they get angry about it and then they fight back, and then the people who have been fucking them go like, I guess we can stop fucking you. And then they're like,
Just for a
okay.
minute.
And then and then a minute turns into like 10 minutes, and then it turns into like 4 hours, and then 8 hours, and then suddenly it's like, oh, 40 hours? We're not fucking you? This is weird, but I guess. And then the whole process starts over.
Yeah.
5 Debs.
Yeah. 5 Debs.
5 Debs.
5
Or
Debs.
I mean, Zero Debs. We hate labor unions. Okay. Just kidding, you guys. I love them so much.
That's right.
Don't tell my employers. Sorry.
Oh shit! Did we get that conspiracy law off the books? Or
Yeah, seriously. Oh man, we are. Yeah, we're putting a target on our backs with this episode, but that's
Yeah.
good. You know, it's about time.
Well, I'll go to prison for what I believe in.
Yeah, I mean,
Arrest me.
we're already
I
all
dare you.
kind of in a prison of our own minds as is, so we might as well,
Truly.
like-
You can't make it worse.
Plus, we all saw Paddington too. We know prison's pretty cool if you
You know,
get a
there's a
little
new
pink in there.
Paddington coming out.
There is.
Unfortunately, that was in a different country.
Yeah, the
True.
place where the first labor unions came out of, England.
Right, but we will be put in American prisons.
Not if we commit a crime in England.
Ooh.
Oh, that's true.
Uh-huh.
Road trip.
Yay!
Road trip.
That's right.
State your purpose for entering our country. Crime!
Yeah, we want to commit some crime so we can get into Paddington jail.
Yep.
I want Brendan Gleeson to make me a cake.
We're good
Yeah.
with the oranges.
But yeah, there's another Paddington coming out. Paddington in Peru, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Oh, it's gonna be
to the
great.
theaters.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I hope the magic can be recaptured as magically as it was magicked in the magical magic of the Magic 2 first ones that were magical.
So I think for the 200th episode, I'm gonna say that I'm thankful for this podcast bringing me Paddington 2. What are you all thankful for?
Oh,
Oh,
this is it's a very sweet notion.
thankful for the both of you.
Yeah, I knew somebody was gonna say that,
Yeah.
and I was gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Shut the fuck up."
No, well,
I know. I was like, I have to say
We
it
all
before
love
you
Nate.
each
beat me
other
to
so
it, yeah,
much.
because I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I look, I genuinely am thankful for both of you because this is a fun podcast to do. We learn about
Mhm.
stuff together. We get to rage against all of the madness together. And also, like every week, I get to find out something new about each of you that I would never know otherwise. And that's cool. I like that we're united in curiosity. I think that's really special and important, especially in a time when like not being curious is so easy.
God. Yeah.
I'm also thankful
Okay,
for
so
like
he-
weed. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
a good
that's
one.
We should
nice.
do we
That's
should
good.
do some we should do something weed related sometime. That would be a fun podcast.
Get to the bottom of what 420 actually stands
First
for.
420. That could be an
Oh,
episode.
yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
I guess I mean, the movie Debs, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Did
never
bring
would have
steps.
found that if it weren't for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Great point.
really managed to like that initial podcast episode was really amazing. The like American Family thing, the first reality show.
Yeah.
Like there's
yeah,
a bunch
that
of
was
stuff that
great.
we wouldn't have ever engaged with in whatever limited capacity we could for some of it without this. Super
Yeah.
Mario Brothers movie. Putting the
best movie.
spotlight back on how important, and that is a pro-labor movie. We discussed it.
Okay,
It is essential.
I thought you were saying I never would have watched Super Mario Brothers without the show, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, no, I never would have watched Super Mario Brothers for the 40th time without this show.
Yeah.
I absolutely watched the shit out of that when I was a kid. And Garfield, we're
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Garfield.
the just the weirdness of that. How much that's altered my
Yeah.
life with what gets unlocked. The horrible things that I
Yeah.
text both of you that are Garfield
Yeah.
memes. I didn't even send you the one where John is fingering lasagna and then
Appreciate that you
can.
didn't. No, it's okay. You can keep that one in your personal stash. That's okay.
The old spank bank.
yeah, it's. I won't show it to you, but I'm just gonna say, John's there. He says, "I made lasagna, Garfield." He said, "Looks good, huh? Oh God, it's so warm and wet." And then
Oh.
and then he says, "I should call Liz." It's funny. It's disgusting, but it's funny. It's funnier than the
I
one where
just-
John was dying of cancer that he shared with
That
you.
is, yeah.
Like, Garfield's
Was Buff Garfield?
Garfield would be happy to see another Monday. I never thought I'd see the day. dying wish. Amazing. It's just great.
You're on a weird part of the internet, man.
Yeah.
The weird.
This podcast made that happen. I would not be doing this without us, right? I would not be
Yay.
existing in Garfield posting without us. I'd be just like, I don't know, probably fear spiraling about everything all the time. And now I'm just like, fuck it, weirdness. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm doing both.
Well,
I'm doing both. Yeah, I contain multitudes.
Well, that's because you got that full 8 hours at night that you can do both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just forsaken sleep. Hey.
Aw. Well, great.
Yeah.
Happy 2-year anniversary to both of you.
And to you, and also with you.
And what was the gift?
2 year,
What was the gift again?
Cotton.
Cotton.
Great. Okay. I think I vote that after this episode, we take our headphones off and we just get a swab in there and just
Ooh.
give that cotton a little touch of the old outer ear. Do not clean inside
Just the outer
the ear,
ear?
people.
Fine.
The outer
Okay.
You
ear.
cannot stop me.
This could have been for the. No, I'll tell you guys after I stop.
Okay, great. And I'm going to leave that in because listeners, hey, guess what? You're going to have to actually email us at debutbuddies@gmail.com and be
I'm about
like,
to
we
say.
want to know what shit we're missing out on. Please actually start a Patreon and let us give you $2 a month so that you can hear what Chelsea's going to tell us
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
You're never going to find out. This one's lost to the ether, but if you show us a little
Mhm.
money, Jerry Maguire
Yeah,
style,
more.
we will do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll invite you to the group chat so you can see all these perverted Garf
Yes.
memes.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I'm just a Garf meme funnel for people who are just getting sadder and scarier by the meme. Listeners, if you like this podcast, we love you. Thank you for listening to it. If you haven't given us 5 stars already, go to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. Tell us something about how unions or labor matters to you. Where are you at on it? If you want to be argumentative, go for it. Give us 5 stars. Say whatever you want to say. We will dip in and we'll talk about it. We can talk about it on the next episode or one in the near future. We can get into that for you. If you like the music, go ahead and check out Michael J. O'Connor at .bandcamp.com. He is a great musician. He is, I assume he would be a unionized musician if such a thing was easy to do. And he deserves it. He's very good. So listen to his stuff. And if you want to read some books written by people who imagine a future where maybe things are better, sometimes, kind of, read spaceboy.com.
And if you miss me and Chelsea in the off weeks of Debut Buddies, you can find us over on Never Show the Monster, a podcast about horror movies, where soon we will be talking more about birds with the movie Cuckoo. Actually, it might already be out. I don't know. Go check the feed. Subscribe.
I'm a little behind, so I just listened to the Watchers episode, which was delightful because it was only about 1/7 about the Watchers, and the rest was about a lot of random catching up, which I love to hear. It's always fun to
There wasn't.
There's a lot
Drop
to talk
Eves.
about with that movie.
Yeah. Also, you're not behind at all. There's only one episode out after that just came out today.
well, I'm behind for today. Then I should be on top
I
of
guess
this.
so.
The release schedule. On our next episode, listeners, we're going to be talking about some, maybe some puppies grew up by man-made lake, and then they got into a life of crime, and then a guy who was a writer, and he's kind of a fast talker, and he liked to swear a lot. He wrote a story about him. And he was like, what if they were Reservoir Dogs? We're going to be talking about the first Quentin Tarantino film on our next episode. So we hope you join us for that because it's going to be riveting. We have a great guest. His name is Eric Weintraub. He's an author. You can buy a novel that he wrote. It's great.
Where can we buy that?
On the internet. Anywhere books are sold. It's not one that we released ourselves, but it is called South of Sepharad, I believe. It's going to be that thing where, it's called South of Sepharad. And it is available all over the place. There's great review of it on Forward Reviews, Kindle Store, Kobo, Google Play Books, Apple Books, regular bookstores. You might be able to find pages on the wind and then try to piece it together yourself.
Yeah.
Autumn is coming.
They'll be
That's how I
falling
usually
from the
read my books.
trees.
Yeah, you just wait for a little
Just
library to
going with the
explode and
wind.
gather whatever comes your way. So yeah, we'll be back with that. It's gonna be great. And until then, you better unionize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo-ha, buddies.
Yo-ha.
Yeah.